thought I'd do a GNW packing video because I did a UTA one a few years ago. So this one's tips and tricks for packing for GNW next weekend. Probably this covers all your 50 mile, 100k and 100 miler, not so much 50k because you don't really have mandatory gear on that, but the mandatory gear is the same on the other three races. So the first thing is you print out your list of all your mandatory gear and then just go through it. Up first we have detailed maps and directions. These ones are available on the website, you just need to print them out, and then I package them up in a plastic bag so they're all sealed and you can use them. Not much to it, straightforward. The waterproof map case, Ziploc bag, that covers it. Lightweight, easy to replace. Often I'll have a spare copy of maps with me just in case I manage to kidnap a pacer or something and I need them to carry the maps. So your pacers also have to carry the same mandatory gear as you, so generally for the maps and things like that I'll have it ready to go for the pacers, so they just need to pick it up off me. Your mobile phone, that one's actually what this is recording on. I have in the past used like an old lightweight cell phone. It kind of just depends on what you want to do. Now I run with the iPhone mostly because I can take photos, and particularly in a 100 miler it's nice to call up and have a bit of a whinge to your support crew when like things gone to shit. But total preference, you can use an older phone. It will have reception, particularly if you buy like a Telstra SIM card for it, a prepaid one. I've actually had to use it to get rescued from a race before, like an old phone, and it worked fine. So up to you on that. The iPhones though, depending if you have a really big phone, you're definitely going to want to look at something smaller. But if you got a smaller iPhone or a smaller Android, I'd just take that for now. And also you can put your maps on there, so you can actually use like a Venza Maps or Gaia or Maps.me if you want a free one, and it has the whole course on there. Obviously not mapped out. You can put it on there mapped out, but it does show the course tracks and things. So if you do get lost, your phone can save you. Next up is a compass. These are pretty straightforward. You just need an actual compass, an analog one. This one's a tiny little Kathmandu one. It's a few dollars at Kathmandu. Or you can go even smaller. This one here's like it's a little micro one. As long as it points north, it'll work. Your whistle, all the packs have these nowadays. The main thing is that you'll actually need to know where it is on your pack, because you're going to come into the bag check and they're going to want to see the whistle. If you don't know where it is, it's going to be a bit of pain. So this one here, it's just on the front. Sometimes they're part of the clips, or most are somewhere on the pack itself. So just track it down before you start. Thermal top. So these ones, I actually have it packaged in one whole package. I've never had to use my thermals in a race, but if I do, they're available. So this here is actually the thermal top and the thermal pants in the one package. These are MacPack thermals. I bought them on special. They're actually kids ones, but they fit me fine. So if you want to save a bit on thermals and you fit kid size clothing, I recommend just buying kids thermals. I also have them packaged separately. So some races just require one or the other. This race requires both. So depending on your pack, choose your packaging, pack it all up. I generally put it in a Ziploc bag and then I put rubber bands around it to compress it all. Some people use a vacuum sealer, but I haven't. They seem to leave like sharp edges. So personally, I've just gone for the plastic bags and rubber bands. Holds it all together. It's waterproof. You're covered. You will also have to present your gear, so I generally have it all labelled, like thermal top on that one, so I know what exactly I'm showing to them. Rain jacket, that's straightforward. I have an Outdoor Research Helium 2. You can get cheap rain jackets to start if it's like your first ultra, or you can fork out the big bucks and get your proper rain jacket. If you're going to go proper, make sure it has a hood and it's seam sealed, because then you can be covered for all future races. This one doesn't actually have specific requirements around the rain jacket apart from it being waterproof, but I think UTA is seam sealed and hooded. Quite a few of the other ultras are, so if you're going to spend the money now, get one that will cover you for all sorts of races. Also, this is packed super small. The cheaper ones, like the less you pay, the larger it will be. The beanie, balaclava or buff, straightforward, everyone has a buff. I normally have a buff that's permanently in my pack because I'll wear a buff through the night under my headlamp. And then in the morning when I take it off, I don't want to have to worry about remembering to put it in my bag. This is light enough that this will just live in my pack the entire race, and I won't actually use it because I'll often have two. Bandage, these are easy. It's just got to be a heavyweight crate bandage. You can buy them at the chemist. They're $6-7. The only thing you have to watch is the measurements on it. So these ones have to be a minimum of 7.5 wide and 2.3 meters. So it actually says it on it. Yeah, just go to chemist, get them. Just watch if you're looking to get them at Coles or Woolies. I think they only sell the smaller size ones that aren't the 7.5 centimeters. So just, yeah, check it. Waterproof bag, Ziploc bags. They're lightweight, they're easy. If something happens to one, I often have like just a roll of Ziploc bags available in my support crew bag or my drop bags, so quick to change out. The water container, I prefer to run with a bladder. Everyone has like different options on this. So I have a 2-litre bladder in the pack. If it's particularly hot on the day, I'll generally also take soft flasks, like 250ml soft flasks or 500ml soft flasks of tailwind. A lot of the time, particularly, or probably more so on this race, if it gets hot on the Sunday and you're doing the 100 miler, you're going to cook on the way from Girikul back into Patonga. So I do deliberately carry extra water just on that one leg. So rather than carrying the 2 litres, I'll carry like an extra 500ml soft flask with me, so it'll be 2.5 litres. Doesn't have to be easily accessible because, you know, if you're coming down to your last 500ml, you can't screw it anyway, so you just have it in the back of the pack ready to go. Also in those situations, I'll sometimes carry an empty soft flask because if it really came down to it, I could probably get some sketchy water, particularly at the moment because it's been raining, but I'd have to be pretty desperate at that stage. Emergency snack, gel, lightweight, package, a bit boring. Space blanket, just that, standard space blanket, get at Kathmandu, you can probably get at chemist, I don't know, there's nothing special. Most of the packs actually come with one now, so you can use that one. This one here I've just folded up really small, put it in a plastic bag and put a rubber band around it, so it's pre-packaged and ready to go. The torch and the headlamp. So this one, there's a few tricks with. At the start of my race, because you're not going to get dark until you come back, basically the second time through Girikul. So you're going to do Patonga to Girikul, it's going to be all daytime. Chicken. No, you're not on the camera. Alright, so with the headlamps, I do these a particular way just because it's going to get dark at a particular time. So your first leg, you're going for Patonga to Girikul, you're going to get in there, I don't know, 9-10 a.m. Then Girikul to Reservoir Road and back, and you'll be back early afternoon, maybe at the latest. That whole leg, Patonga to Reservoir Road, back to Girikul, you don't need to carry like your big A-up or something like that. It's not dark. You just need to be able to carry your mandatory gear. So in that situation, I have these. These are little Petzl E-lights. They meet your mandatory requirements because it's actually a little headlamp in there. And your spare batteries, they're these tiny little things. So that's a hell of a lot lighter and it covers your mandatory gear and you won't need it. The only catch is when you come back through Girikul the second time, you have to make sure you grab your proper headlamp or your race is over. Like, these will get you out of trouble, but you're not going to be able to run overnight with them. So if you don't have Petzl E-lights, like anything like this covers, like tiny little torches. This one here is a 6-foot track one. So that means your mandatory gear. Just gotta make sure you have the spare batteries for it. This one is pretty powerful. Then when I come back through the second time, I'll grab the A-up and the Ferro. So the 2 big ones. One of them I'll probably wouldn't quite wear it. Well, I'm not gonna wear it quite yet. They'll both go in the pack. Their spare batteries are also pretty large. So yeah, that's why you don't want to carry it from the start. One of the tricks I have seen people do, and is valid, if you have an A-up, so this is your headlamp, this can be your spare headlamp. It's just another light for the front of it. So it's pretty lightweight as far as spare headlamps go. The only catch is you'll need to carry 2 of these batteries as spares, and it kind of puts it all onto the one battery. So if you're down to your last battery and your battery fails, your backup headlamp's also going to fail because it relies on the same battery. So I tend not to do that. I'll instead run with a ferrite. The batteries are reasonably small, and it means I've got a different battery and 2 completely separate headlamps. And also the other options like tiny little Kathmandu headlamps. It's kind of anything to meet mandatory gear requirements without having to carry an extra, it saves quite a few $100 actually, not having to carry full headlamps like for the first part of the race. In the 50 miler, depending on your pacing, you may not have to grab the big headlamp at all. So if you're looking at like probably anywhere under 13-14 hours, you will meet mandatory requirements with just those. You just got to make sure you finish before it's dark. You can get through on these, but I wouldn't, like, these are like last resort sort of options. Your safety vests, pretty straightforward. Just gotta make sure you buy them large because they're gonna go over the back of the pack as well. This one here's a Bunnings one. I can't remember how much it was, like $10. It's okay. I like this one here. I got it from a safety store. It feels just a bit nicer. So they're actual safety vests. It has like the requirements down in your mandatory gear list, but yeah, they're fine. I just have them wrapped up with rubber bands. Then when it's time, what time is it? 5:30 p.m. It's not even dark then. Anyway, 5:30 p.m. Just whack it on. Good to go. How I package it all. So you've seen like the thermals, those I'll do separate. GNW is a bit different to quite a few of the other races. They have a full gear check. It's not a random item or anything like that. Before you start your race, it's full gear check, so you've got to have everything in your pack ready to show. And then the second time you come through Gearical, that's also a full gear check for the 100 mile and 100k. I'm not sure about the 50 mile. But, so you come into Gearical the second time, you do all your sport crew stuff, get your water, make sure you're ready, have all your nighttime gear ready to go, because once you're out there, it's going to get dark while you head sport and wrecking back. When you finish up all that and you're ready to leave the aid station, that's when you'll do your gear check. So the easiest way I've found to do it is have them all in their packages in the bag. So they're going to go down this list, ask for your maps, and you're like, maps, you know, got that. I tend to pack the gear so it's all in one package. This one here is actually a pre-packed bag for Mount Solitary Ultra, same sort of deal. So they're going to say snake bench, I can point to it. I've got it lined up so you can see the measurements from the outside of the bag. I don't have to remove anything. Compass, I can point to that. Space blanket, maps, everything. It's as they're reading it out, I just flip over the bag, point to each of the bits and go, there, that's it. And that's all that's required to do. So I strongly recommend packaging it so you don't have to unpack every little item in your bag. You're just pulling out full plastic bags and pointing out whatever they want to see. They'll just go through the checklist in order, so you can pack it expecting it to all be in order. The other things I also use, probably the other gear I carry, is something for chafing. Most of your first aid, you can, you're probably not going to need band-aids. Like if you have a cut, I suppose only if you get a blister or something. But cuts, all that, just ignore them. You get into the aid station, they'll deal with it. Chafing, on the other hand, is a bit more of a problem. So I have like a little tub of Bepanthen and some Vaseline. You can use Body Glide, whatever works for you. But that's probably the main thing that will slow you down, that you kind of need to deal with on course. If it's a hot day, I've also started using like cooling towels, which are actually pretty good, and there's enough water on course that you can just like dip this in Carry On Brook Falls or something like that, wrap it around your flat rock, you know, there's plenty of water to dip a cooling towel in. So you can use that, and it kind of works. You put it around like the back of your neck, tuck it in, it will help cool you. If you're doing the 100 miler too, I recommend poles. So not so much for your 50 miler. maybe 100k, but the 100 miler, the poles, they're awesome. So I don't use them in this particular race. I pick them up the second time through Gearacle, so when you're getting ready to go into the night. You're not going to need them probably when you're leaving Gearacle, but between the time you leave Gearacle, go to spawn wreck, come back, you're going to want the poles somewhere in there. And they just give you like extra limbs. Your legs get a bit of a break. It's something for your hands to do. I don't know, they just save a lot. Also, I find on this course there's these really big steps the whole way. They're not, if you have long legs, maybe it's okay, but it's not okay for me. So the poles, I can just put a pole down, drop down a step. Or if I'm pulling myself up, put the poles in, pull myself up. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Good luck in GNW next week. I'll be out there racing the 50 miler.